My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how everything I believed in started to change, though at the time, I had no idea. I was living in a small, quiet house on the edge of a peaceful neighborhood in Europe. It wasn't anything special, just a simple place with white walls, a blue wooden door, and a little garden where I kept a few flowers alive with more hope than skill. But it was mine, and I loved it. Every morning, I would wake up to soft light coming through my curtains, make a cup of coffee, and sit by the window thinking about my life, my future, and the people I trusted the most. As my 26th birthday got closer, something felt different. My family started acting strange, not in a bad way, but in a way that made me curious. My mother, Elena, would smile at me like she was holding a secret. My brother Daniel couldn't look at me without laughing, and every time I asked what was going on, he would just shake his head and say, "You'll see." It wasn't just them. My friends started doing the same thing, especially Clara, who always knew how to keep a secret when it mattered. But the one who made me believe something truly special was coming was my boyfriend, Marcus. He had this way of smiling, like he knew something I didn't. One evening, we were walking past my house, the sky turning orange as the sun went down, and I finally asked him again, "What are you all planning?" He looked at me, paused for a moment, and then said, "It's going to be unforgettable." The way he said it made my heart race. It didn't feel like a simple birthday surprise. It felt bigger, deeper, like something that would stay with me forever. After that, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My mind started creating ideas on its own. Maybe they were planning a big party in a beautiful place, something expensive, something where people spend thousands of dollars just for one night. Or maybe it was a trip. I had always wanted to visit America, to see the busy streets, the bright lights, the places I had only seen in pictures. I imagined them all waiting to surprise me at the airport, laughing when I realized what they had done. I trusted them completely. That was the simplest truth of all. Every time I asked, they told me the same thing, just wait. And every time they said it, I believed them a little more. I started counting down the days, feeling excited in a way I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just about turning 26. It was about feeling loved, remembered, and important to the people who meant everything to me. Looking back now, I can still remember that feeling clearly, the hope, the excitement, the quiet happiness sitting inside me. At that time, nothing seemed wrong. Everything felt like it was leading to something beautiful. So I waited. The morning of my birthday began in a way that felt almost magical, even though nothing had happened yet. I woke up earlier than usual, before the sun had fully risen, with that soft kind of excitement that makes your chest feel light. For a moment, I just lay there in my bed, staring at the ceiling of my quiet house, smiling to myself. This was the day. Whatever they had planned, my family, my friends, Marcus, it was finally going to happen. I reached for my phone almost immediately. The screen lit up. No messages. I blinked, thinking maybe it hadn't refreshed yet. I checked again. Still nothing. It felt strange, but I didn't let it bother me. I told myself they were probably all busy setting things up. Maybe they wanted everything to be perfect before saying anything. That made sense. In fact, it made the surprise feel even bigger. I got out of bed, wrapped myself in a light sweater, and walked into the kitchen. The house was quiet, just like every other morning, but it didn't feel lonely yet. I made myself a cup of coffee and stood by the window, watching the empty street outside. A few cars passed, a neighbor walked their dog, and the world continued like it was any normal day. But for me, it wasn't normal. It was supposed to be unforgettable. I kept checking my phone every few minutes. Each time, I expected to see something. A message from my mother Elena, maybe a long text from Marcus, or even a simple happy birthday from Daniel. But the screen stayed empty, almost cold, like it had nothing to give me. By 9 a.m., I started to feel a small knot forming in my stomach. By 10 a.m., that knot tightened. Still, I kept making excuses for them. Maybe they were planning something later in the day. Maybe they wanted to surprise me in person instead of through a message. I even started thinking that maybe they were all on their way to my house, hiding somewhere nearby, waiting for the perfect moment to knock on my blue door and shout surprise. So I cleaned the living room. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I wanted everything to look nice for them. I fixed the cushions, wiped the table, and even arranged the flowers in my small garden outside. I kept glancing at the door, expecting a knock at any second. But there was nothing. No knock. No footsteps. No laughter. Just silence. By noon, the excitement had changed into something else. It wasn't panic yet, but it wasn't happiness either. It was confusion, mixed with a quiet kind of worry I didn't want to admit. That's when I picked up my phone again. Not to check messages this time, but to open Instagram. I don't even know why I did it. Maybe I just wanted a distraction. Maybe I thought I'd see something normal, something unrelated. Instead, I saw everything. The first story was from Clara. Bright lights, loud music, people laughing, a karaoke bar. I watched it once, not fully understanding. Then I tapped again. The next story was from my brother Daniel. He was holding a microphone, singing badly as usual, while people around him cheered and laughed. I could hear familiar voices in the background. My heart started beating faster. Then I saw Marcus. He was smiling, holding a drink, standing close to Clara. Too close. I felt something shift inside me, something I couldn't quite name. I kept tapping through the stories, one after another. My family was there. My friends were there. Everyone who had been acting strange for weeks was there. Together. Without me. It didn't make sense. Not at first. My mind tried to explain it. Maybe this was part of the surprise. Maybe they were waiting for me to arrive. Maybe someone was going to call me any second and tell me where to go. Then I saw the caption. Best party ever. Glad she didn't come LOL. Time stopped. I stared at those words, reading them over and over again. Like if I looked long enough, they would change into something else. Something kinder. Something that made sense. But they didn't. My hands felt cold, even though I was still holding my warm cup of coffee. I slowly sat down on the chair near the window, my eyes still fixed on my phone. A strange calm came over me. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shouting. I was just still. The silence in my house felt heavier now, like it was pressing against me. Every small sound, the ticking of the clock, the faint noise from outside, felt louder than before. I looked around my living room. The clean table, the arranged cushions, the space I had prepared for people who were never coming. And suddenly, everything became clear in a way that hurt more than confusion ever could. There was no surprise waiting for me. There was no plan for me. They hadn't forgotten by accident. They had chosen this. I placed my phone face down on the table and leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling again, just like I had that morning. But this time, I wasn't smiling. I didn't reply to any of the stories. I didn't send a message. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I sat there in my quiet house, listening to the silence I had woken up to, now understanding it completely. And for the first time that day, I felt something real settle inside me. Not tears. Not anger. Just a deep, quiet realization that nothing was going to happen. And somehow, that silence said everything. I didn't reply to anyone that day. Not to the stories, not to the silence, not even to the thoughts running through my own mind. After I placed my phone face down on the table, I left it there, like it no longer belonged to me. The world inside that small screen had shifted into something I didn't recognize, and I wasn't ready to face it. The rest of my birthday passed quietly. I didn't turn on the lights when evening came. I sat in the dim glow of the fading sun, watching shadows stretch across the walls of my house. The same house that had felt warm and full of hope just that morning now felt different, still mine, but somehow emptier. At some point, my phone started buzzing. Once. Twice. Then again. I didn't move. I knew who it was. It had to be them. Maybe someone had realized what they had done. Maybe someone was trying to explain, to fix it, to turn it into a joke that went too far. But I didn't pick it up. I wasn't ready to hear excuses. That night, I went to bed without checking anything. No messages, no calls, no updates. Just silence. And strangely, that silence felt safer than whatever waited for me on the other side of that screen. The next morning, I woke up later than usual. For a few seconds, I forgot everything. It was just me, my bed, the soft light coming through the window. Then it all came back, heavy and clear. I didn't rush to my phone this time. Instead, I got up slowly and walked into the kitchen. I made coffee again, just like every morning, but the routine felt different now. There was no excitement, no waiting, just movement. I finally looked at my phone around noon. Dozens of missed calls. Messages stacked on top of each other. My mother, Elena, Sophia, please answer me. Daniel, where are you? This isn't what you think. Marcus, please just talk to me. I can explain everything. Clara, hey, are you okay? I read them all without reacting. My face stayed calm, almost blank. It was like I was reading messages meant for someone else. I didn't reply. I turned my phone off completely. The second day passed like that. Quiet. Slow. Almost peaceful in a strange way. I stayed inside my house, moving from room to room without any real purpose. I cleaned things that were already clean. I rearranged books I had already organized. I watered my plants, even the ones that didn't need it. It wasn't about keeping busy. It was about thinking. And I did a lot of that. I thought about birthdays before this one. About the time I spent nearly $300 on a surprise dinner for Clara. About traveling across cities in Europe just to attend Daniel's celebration. About the gifts, the planning, the effort. I remembered how happy I felt doing those things. I never kept count. I never expected anything in return. But now, sitting alone in my quiet house, I couldn't ignore the difference anymore. By the third day, something inside me had changed. The sadness had softened. The confusion had disappeared. Even the hurt felt distant, like it belonged to someone I used to be. In its place, there was clarity. I started to see things differently, not just that day, but everything before it. The small moments I had ignored. The times I felt left out but brushed it aside. The jokes that didn't feel like jokes. The way I always made space for them, but they never really did the same for me. It wasn't one moment. It was a pattern. And I had finally noticed it. That afternoon, someone knocked on my door. I froze for a second, standing in the middle of my living room. Then came a voice. Sophia. I know you're in there. It was Marcus. I didn't move. He knocked again, louder this time. Please, just open the door. We need to talk. I walked closer, but I stopped before reaching the door. I could see his shadow through the glass, shifting nervously. For a moment, I almost opened it. Almost. But then I remembered the caption. Glad she didn't come, LOL. I stepped back. I'm not home, I said quietly, even though we both knew it wasn't true. There was a long silence on the other side. Then he spoke again, softer this time. Sophia, please. I didn't answer. After a few minutes, I heard his footsteps fade away. And just like that, it was quiet again. By the fourth day, I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. Not the kind that comes from everything being okay, but the kind that comes from understanding that things are not okay, and accepting it. I turned my phone back on that evening. It lit up immediately. More missed calls. More messages. But this time, I didn't feel overwhelmed. I just sat down, held the phone in my hand, and looked at it calmly. Whatever they had to say, whatever explanations they had prepared, it didn't matter as much anymore. Because in those 4 days, without them, without the noise, without the pretending, I had finally heard myself. And for the first time, I wasn't waiting for anyone to tell me what I deserved. I already knew. On the fourth night, when I finally turned my phone back on, the light from the screen felt almost too bright in the quiet of my living room. For a moment, I just stared at it, as if I were holding something fragile, something that could break again if I touched it the wrong way. Then the notifications began. One after another, they filled the screen, missed calls, messages, voice notes. The number kept rising until it stopped at 86 missed calls. I didn't react. I simply watched it, calm and still, like I had already expected it. I opened the messages slowly. My mother, Elena, had sent more than 10. Each one more worried than the last. Sophia, please answer. I'm getting scared. We didn't mean to hurt you. I could almost hear her voice in my head, soft and anxious, but it didn't pull at me the way it used to. Daniel's messages were shorter, more direct. Pick up your phone. This is getting serious. You're overreacting. That last one made me pause for a second, not because it hurt, but because it didn't surprise me. Marcus had sent the most. Long messages. Paragraphs. Apologies mixed with explanations. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It started as a joke. I didn't think they'd post that. Please just give me one chance to explain. I read every word, carefully, without rushing. And still, I felt nothing. Then I opened Clara's message. It was simple. Just one line. We thought it would be funny. We didn't think you'd take it seriously. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Funny. That was the word they chose. Something inside me shifted, but instead of breaking, it settled. Everything became clear in a way that didn't leave room for doubt or confusion anymore. And then, without warning, I laughed. Not a quiet laugh. Not a bitter one. A real, honest laugh that filled the room and surprised even me. I leaned back into my chair, holding my phone in one hand, and let the sound echo in my empty house. Because suddenly, I understood. It was never about one night. It was never just about my birthday. It was about how easily they could leave me out and still expect me to come back. It was about how little they thought of me in that moment and how much I had thought of them for years. And for the first time, that truth didn't hurt. It freed me. When the laughter faded, I looked at my phone again. All those messages waiting for a reply. All those people expecting something from me, an answer, an explanation, maybe even forgiveness. I typed slowly. Thank you. I read it once, then pressed send. That was it. No anger. No questions. No long message explaining how I felt. Just 2 words. Because they didn't need my pain explained to them. And I didn't need their understanding anymore. I placed my phone down and sat there for a while, letting the silence return. But this time, it felt different. It didn't feel empty. It felt calm. The next morning, I woke up early again, just like on my birthday. The sunlight came through the window in the same soft way, touching the walls, the floor, the little details of my house. But I wasn't the same person who had woken up 4 days ago. I got out of bed with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in a long time. I didn't check my phone. Instead, I started packing. At first, it felt strange, folding my clothes, placing them neatly into a suitcase, deciding what to take and what to leave behind. But with every small decision, I felt lighter. I didn't need much. A few outfits, some personal things, the essentials. Everything else suddenly felt unimportant. Later that day, I began selling some of my belongings. A few pieces of furniture, some items I didn't truly need. It wasn't about the money, but it helped. By the end, I had saved around $2,000. It was enough. Not for a perfect plan, but for a beginning. I stood in the middle of my house one last time that evening. The white walls, the blue door, the small garden outside. It had been my safe place, my quiet world. And in many ways, it still was. But it also held memories that no longer belonged to me. So I let it go. I didn't leave a note. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't answer the calls that kept coming. Because for once, I wasn't waiting for permission, or approval, or even closure. I walked out, closed the blue door behind me, and stepped into the street with my suitcase in hand. The air felt fresh. New. I didn't know exactly where I was going. Maybe another city in Europe. Maybe somewhere far in America. It didn't matter. For the first time in a long time, the future wasn't something I was imagining for others. It was mine. And as I walked away from everything I thought I needed, I realized something simple but powerful. They were right about one thing. It was unforgettable. Just not in the way they planned.